Hey guys, Bazikins here. Today we're going to be doing a walkthrough of the Mage Tower for the Blood DK, and we're going to start out with our gear here. All right, so as you can see, we have a pretty standard setup. No cheese gear of any kind. I just used my regular set from Shadowlands in the current season. You'll see that my item level is 251, but again, that scales down to 50. So if you're looking at this and you say, oh well, your item level is really high, it's really just because I do a lot of Mythic Plus, but it all gets scaled down to 50, right? So no advantage there of any kind. Just a very standard setup. The only trinket I would say is pretty valuable in this is Blood Spatter Scale. I'd say if you're doing the Tank Tower Challenge at all, you probably want to take a look at this trinket because it'll allow you to survive the second phase a little bit easier. All right, for talents, pretty standard here, guys. I went with Blood Drinker on the first row. This gives us the most single target damage. It helps with the first phase and the second phase. This was definitely very valuable. Tombstone's a bit of a bait. You don't want to expend any of your Bone Shield charges in the second phase where this is most valuable. And the actual um, absorption that it provides is um, it's impactful, but not worth the expenditure of the Bone Shield charges. So I would say don't go with this. Heartbreaker is pretty poop. Definitely don't run this one as Blood Drinker, and I guess take your chances with Tombstone if you want. Second row, hemostasis is definitely the way to go. Just try to utilize um, your marrow rend as often as you can. It's difficult in the second phase because you're going to be spending a lot of runes on heart striking the nether storms, or excuse me, the nether horrors when they're in your death and decay, and you're going to find yourself pretty tapped on resources. And for that reason, we can look at the next row, and that's why we run blood tap so that we can help ourselves with that predicament. I would say that these two right here are pretty set in stone. Some of these may be pretty enticing, the ones I didn't pick, but you're going to need this in the second phase with how many heart strikes you need to use in a short window. And then from here, Will and Necropolis is mandatory. Don't even look at these two. Grip of the Dead is fine. Neither of these are particularly valuable in the encounter, so just pick one. Voracious is definitely the best on the level 45 row. Death Pact is a trap. Don't take this one. Just rely on your Death Strike heals to do what you need to do. Death Pact is awful. Um, Bloodworms will give you a little bit more damage, which is fine, but it's far less healing than Voracious, so just take the Voracious. Third row is where you have quite a few choices. Purgatory will give you a death save, provided that you can lift yourself up out of it using the likes of a health potion or a death strike or something else. Red Thirst will enable you to use Vamp Blood twice in the second phase for the first Annihilate and the fourth Annihilate. Pretty valuable there, so consider it for sure. And Bone Storm will enable you to survive pretty comfortably a situation where you have 3 or 4 Infernals up at one time, because it will heal you for a 10-second period and make you pretty much immortal for that period of time, provided you're not trying to survive and annihilate with it. Um, so all three have uses. I went with Purgatory. The death save is always the best way to go in that second phase. All right. With all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the video. All right, guys. We are in here and ready to go. Taking a look at the kill video now. You can see in the top right corner with my auras, I just have my Eternal Flask of Power for the strength, and I've got an oil on my weapon. I also have a heavy Desolate Armor Kit on my chest piece for the extra stamina. Um, fairly basic stuff. So we're going to start out here. Ideally, we're going to do Death and Decay, and then we're going to do blood. We're going to do the Blood Drinker, and then we're going to pop our cooldowns here and get some damage hit on him. Don't sleep on the eyes. You want to for Blood Decay, you want to kill the eyes a little bit quicker than you would other specs, because you don't have a really good way to kill them. Blood Drinker, I guess, is actually qualifies as a really good way to kill them, but you don't want to use that ability on the eyes. You want to use that on the boss so you can push the phase quicker. Just be mindful of the fact that if you're going to use only Death's Caress, it's going to take a really long time to kill those guys. If you use only one, I mean, it's going to take forever because the disease itself does not do a lot of damage. So try to work in some blood boils. I'm so I'm so green on this. Like, I think this is my 8th pull that I kill him on. So, um, I still haven't even worked out my strategy completely. But for those eyes, I would recommend using Blood Boil. It does roughly twice the amount of damage. I can see those Nether Horrors will cast. They'll channel Nether Storm. They'll cast it and channel it in place. So you don't need to panic about interrupting the spell. You just run out of it. The only time you need to do something about that is if they're next to your priest, because they'll instantly kill him if they channel Nether Storm on top of him. Obviously. So inconvenient killing those eyes. First phase I found was much more difficult on Blood DK than it was on Guardian, but Guardian was substantially harder on the second phase than Blood DK. All right, just keep killing the eyes. With the Nether Horrors, another quick tip here: the way you grab aggro on them consistently is to Death Strike when they spawn out of their portals. Once you Death Strike, it grabs aggro on them, and they won't run over to your priest, which is pretty huge. I think I'm going to use a healing orb here. Yeah, because he was draining. He was about to cast Drain Life, or had just started doing it, and I was low HP, so that was a pretty high value orb right there. So to quickly kill the Tormenting Eyes with just Death's Caress, you're going to need to use 3 of them. It's really awful. It's like 3 runes that you're burning on a not so great ability. I would just be mindful. Try to pull them in every single time you can here, and burn them down with Death and Decay and Heart Strikes. That will make it cleave onto all the targets in there. Well, up to 5. But if you just have Varus and the Horus in there, then that'll always be 5 targets. All right, so I had to kick the Drain Life there, so I just accepted the knockback from the eye. Not a big deal. These eyes are super annoying with Blood DK. All right, so we're gonna hop back in here, we're trying to keep ourselves in that pool as much as we can because we don't have a good way of doing a lot of damage. Ideally, we get back into the circle the moment our debuff falls off, so we can get more damage onto him. But I'm by no means clean on this first phase because I'm not practiced enough on it with the Blood DK. But my best advice for how to improve on what I'm doing here is to try to get a lot more DPS uptime on the boss, basically. Make this phase in quicker than I do. All right, so we're going to throw the pool down here instead because they're going to start channeling again. I plan on using this orb here. Knock that out. Kill this Tormenting Eye. Turn around and kick him. At this point, I don't have any Marrow Run stacks, so I'm going to go ahead and grab some Marrow Run stack, or some Bone Shield stacks, sorry. And try to get as much damage onto the boss as I can. You can see when I actually do push the boss, I can knock him down 5 or 6%. It's just like I probably could have ended this phase a full like 45 seconds earlier if I had just made it a higher priority to damage Varus more. I was more focused on just trying not to get myself killed. So now I have a ton of Infernals, right? This is actually a huge amount of damage that I'm taking because of all these Infernals pulsating on me. This is not ideal that I have this many Infernals on me. All right, so Varus is below 10% at this point. We have 4 Infernals baked into him. We should get a lot of bonus damage here. So these Infernals should all die just from the dot itself. You can see, yeah, all of them have disintegrated in there thanks to my disease. We kick the Drain Life, and at this point we decided, okay, we're just going to push this in. We have a couple of Nether Horrors up, but I mean, really this is an okay setup for us. We killed a couple of Nether Horrors, and that's fine. You'll see that I have 7 stacks of the decay buff, which is reducing my max health by a considerable amount. I'm now only to 5,300, but he does so little damage in the first 5 or 6 seconds of the fight. And as long as you're not starting it out with like infernals and horrors up when you have this many stacks, it's not a big deal. All right, stacks fall off. We're good to go. Use a rune tap for the first one, more than enough to survive that. 20% DR was plenty. One thing you will notice, I don't have any bone shield charges at the moment. Definitely something that I didn't notice in real time because I was too focused on my. Okay, I'm actually gonna rewind this. I was too focused on my rotation. I wasn't looking at my weak aura. Normally, it would pop up right here with my bone shield charges, and I don't have any there, and I wasn't focusing on that. But I do have my AMS up, and at this point, with all these infernals up, plus the nether horrors coming in, I know I'm about to have an extremely bad time. Now, this is one of those situations where Bone Storm actually would have been really broken, but you can see I don't actually need it because basically my plan is I'm going to try to pull everything in, get some aggro on stuff, and then I'm going to hit that orb, and I'm just going to first I'm going to pop Death's Advance, right? Because I have all these bumper beams on the sides. I could potentially get smashed. I don't want to get smashed off the edge. So I pop Death's Advance just to get to the orb. Guarantee that I actually get there. All right, so we run into the orb. We pop our dancing weapon. We get some Marrow Rends or some Bone Shield stacks. Go ahead and pull the ads off of Velen there to make sure he doesn't get hit by the Nether Storms. And we've cleaned that up pretty well, all things considered. We got past a very dangerous point. This is why Blood Decay is so strong in second phase. You can tank so much more damage and heal from it than you can on like Guardian Druid or Brewmaster Monk. All right, so just get some Marrow Rend stacks here. We have an Annihilate come in. We weren't really prepared as much as I would like for this Nether Storm, and that's because you may have missed it a little bit ago in this fight. I popped Icebound Fortitude for absolutely no reason. It was the dumbest thing ever, and I didn't have it for this Annihilate. So we just used a Vamp Blood and a Rune Tap and a Vampiric Blood, and we barely survived the hit. Take the Twisted Reflection. Yeah, at this point in the fight, like Rune Tap, it's nice to have, but it's not going to save you. Okay, so 3.3% left. Okay, we've got an Annihilate happening in 3 seconds. We have all these Infernals spawning. Okay, the Infernals are up, and at this point, I'm in like huge danger. Even though I'm at full health right now, and I just channeled my Blood Drinker, I've got these Nether Horrors who are casting Nether Storm here. They're about to start running at me. At this point, with this amount of time left on Annihilate, which I mean, this is going to be a really bad time for me. So I have to kill him before this Annihilate goes off. Now, what I should have done here was asphyxiate him. I don't have it on cooldown here. If I had used the asphyxiate with the next global, I probably kill him comfortably. But instead, you'll see what happens here. I use my Marrow Rend. I get hit by the Annihilate. I planned a Death Strike, but like it just clapped me completely. Fortunately, I managed to kill him with my last global. After you die with these guys, you'll actually get a few seconds of extra damage from your warrior buddy here, and that can amount from 0.5 to about 1% of his total HP. So you might get lucky in that situation, but you know, don't make it as close as I did. But yeah, hopefully this video was helpful for you guys. Leave your comments down below if you guys have any questions. I'm more than happy to answer those. I'll get to them as quickly as I see them. But yeah, this is Bowserkins checking out the Blood DK Mage Tower, and hope you enjoyed the video. Have a good one.